Hello, it's Dale here. Just back on my conservation paper, Tissutex again for the last time, just show you the last few things. And just to remind you, Tissutex is known as Abaca paper, wet strength conservation tissue, because people have been asking me all the time for wet strength and not being able to find the word anywhere. Lens tissue, repair tissue, and many other names. But as I've said, it's a fibrous paper. It comes from the Abaca tree, and so it's not a tissue, as most tissues are just rubbish paper, but it's actually a fibre, and I like it very much to work on. This is just using, I'm using Inktense blocks, but you could use your other crayons or whatever you have. It's just these ones work really well. I've done some rubbings on tiles that I have, so I'll just show you another piece. I was just mucking around really, and you just use your tile. You'll get the others, but how easy it is, or rubbing all the soles of your shoes or whatever you've got. This is sort of a bit Moroccan-y, and I've torn it just then by forcing it too much, but it doesn't matter, it's all part of what I'm doing. And then you apply it to, here I've used it with my cocoon stripping paper. When you wet it, it'll becomes permanent. It does bleed a bit. I just iron it and then wet it to stop it bleeding too much. But you can see that I've stitched onto it. And here's another one that I've done. This is a lovely stencil that I have, and I coloured it with all sorts of colours. And when I've wet it and bleed it, it's run into each other. Then I've stitched it all. So it's also on scrim and cocoon paper on the back, but it's just make a lovely book cover. And that's another little one that I've done, same sort of thing, and I've stitched it afterwards. And then I have also used it for where are we, another one here. So this is where I think I said I used I'll just lift these, get them out of the way. I've used, by spraying with colour on the paper, it bleeds through to the bottom side, and so you get multiple things that you can use. And I put it on here. This is a little bit about like the rocks of Broome, the ancient. This is another one that I've got there. So if I put it back onto here, it hasn't bled right through, but we'll fix that up when we colour it a bit. So if I take something like this and just pick up some of that, because sometimes the thing about stencils is that you don't want someone to see that you've used a specific stencil, so it's just using what's there. Can you see the imprint that comes through? And I'll wet that up afterwards, and then it will bleed a little bit into that space and so on. And I might just take it to Broome with me to work on. So that's that one. And then the other ones that I have done, here I've used that stencil and I've stamped on it, so it's just something that could be ready to use. You can apply some more colour, some stitch, etc, etc. And then with the Tissutex, sort of almost is just a very simple thing that I did. I've coloured the paper. This is not dyed, it's been painted. This is painted with Lumiere silver, and this is painted with Dynaflow, but I've bonded it to a piece of felt, and then I've stitched it. So it's another good possibility for a book cover, a bag. I would seal it with textile medium or matte medium if I wanted to protect it. And finally, you can laminate it very, very easily by trapping things inside and stitching and attaching other things and using CMC paste. CMC paste is a powder which you mix with water. That's the powder. It's it's made from cellulose. It's methyl cellulose. And when you mix it up with water, you've got, it looks sort of like a glue, and it isn't like wallpaper paste, and it's completely non-toxic. And you can paint it, and when you paint it onto your bits, these are a collection of things, you can move them around a bit until you're happy with what you've got. So on here I've got Tissutex that's been through a stencil, part of a Moroccan stencil. I've got a little bit that I've rubbed with blocks and then stitched. This is actually part of a paper napkin. Everyone knows I like paper napkins. This is a a fossilized leaf that I've popped in, and this is also part of a paper napkin. So that's just to make a page, and using the wallpaper paste, it's very firm, ready to be applied to something else. You can see that I've used some sort of recycling on the back. So there, I hope that's just given you a few ideas on using Tissutex, which, as I've said, is my favourite paper to work with. Stencils, any crayons that you've got, whatever you're using. So I'll see you again another time. Thanks very much.